Microsoft Designer. Now, let me introduce you to a tool that I believe will genuinely change how many of you approach visual content creation. This is Microsoft Designer, and while you might initially think of it as just another design app, I want you to understand why it represents something much more significant, especially if you are someone who has ever felt frustrated by your inability to create professional-looking graphics, presentations, or social media content. Let me start by acknowledging a reality that many of us share. We live in an increasingly visual world. Every day, we scroll through social media feeds filled with eye-catching graphics. We sit through presentations where the visual design either enhances or detracts from the message. We receive marketing emails with professional layouts that somehow make us more likely to engage. We see advertisements that capture attention through clever visual composition. Yet, despite being surrounded by this visual content constantly, most of us have never been taught how to create it ourselves. There is an enormous gap between the visual content we consume and our ability to produce anything comparable. This gap has real consequences. Think about the small business owner who knows their product is excellent but cannot create marketing materials that convey that quality. Think about the teacher who has brilliant lesson content but presents it in visually uninspiring slides that fail to engage students. Think about the nonprofit organizer who struggles to create event flyers that attract the attention their cause deserves. Think about the professional whose LinkedIn posts get overlooked because they lack the visual polish that stops people mid-scroll. In all these cases, the limitation is not intelligence, creativity, or the quality of underlying ideas. The limitation is simply the technical skill of graphic design, a skill that traditionally takes years to develop. Microsoft Designer exists to eliminate this barrier entirely. It is an AI-powered graphic design tool that handles the technical complexity of design while letting you focus on what you actually want to communicate. You describe what you need in plain language, the way you would explain it to a friend, and the AI generates professional quality designs that look like they came from a skilled designer. The technology understands principles of composition, color harmony, typography pairing, and visual hierarchy, all the things that make a design look professional rather than amateur, and applies them automatically. But Microsoft Designer is not just another AI design tool floating independently in the vast ocean of software applications. What makes it particularly powerful is its deep integration with the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. If you are among the hundreds of millions of people who use Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, or Teams as part of your daily work, Designer fits into that workflow as naturally as any other Microsoft tool. Your Microsoft account gives you access. Designs you create can flow directly into your presentations and documents. The interface follows Microsoft conventions you already understand. There is no learning a completely foreign system. There is no managing separate accounts and passwords. There is no figuring out how to bridge between disconnected applications. Designer simply becomes another capability within the Microsoft environment you already inhabit. The types of content you can create span virtually every visual need you might encounter. Social media posts for any platform, whether you need the square format of Instagram, the horizontal layout of Twitter, or the professional dimensions of LinkedIn. Presentations that actually look designed, rather than thrown together with default templates. Marketing materials including flyers, brochures, advertisements, and promotional graphics. Invitations and announcements for both professional events and personal celebrations. Infographics that communicate data and concepts visually. Email headers and newsletter graphics. The list extends to essentially any two-dimensional visual content you might need. The underlying AI technology includes integration with DALL-E, one of the most sophisticated image generation systems available. This means Designer can not only arrange existing elements into attractive layouts, but can actually generate original images from your descriptions. If you need a specific image that does not exist in any stock library, Designer can create it. This combination of layout design intelligence and image generation capability in a single tool creates possibilities that were unimaginable just a few years ago. I want you to approach this section with an open mind about what you might be capable of creating. Many people have internalized the belief that they are not creative or not artistic based on their inability to draw or their unfamiliarity with design software. Microsoft Designer makes those limitations irrelevant. Your creativity lives in your ideas, your vision, your understanding of what you want to communicate. Designer handles the technical execution that previously stood between your vision and its visual expression. Why MS Designer is unique. Now that you understand what Microsoft Designer is at a fundamental level, I want to explore what makes this tool genuinely unique in the increasingly crowded landscape of design applications. There are several distinguishing characteristics that set Designer apart from alternatives, and understanding these differences will help you appreciate why this particular tool might be the right choice for your needs and how to leverage its specific strengths most effectively. The first unique characteristic is how AI suggests design layouts and styles automatically. Now, you might think this is standard for modern design tools, but let me explain why Microsoft's implementation is particularly noteworthy. Traditional design software, even the professional applications used by graphic designers, essentially presents you with a blank canvas and a toolkit. Here are your fonts, here are your colors, here are your shapes and images. Now create something. The software provides capabilities but not guidance. This approach works well for trained designers who have internalized principles of visual composition, but it leaves everyone else staring at that blank canvas feeling paralyzed by the infinite possibilities. Even many modern design tools that market themselves as easy to use still fundamentally require you to make design decisions. They might offer templates as starting points, but you are still choosing among templates based on your own design judgment. You are still deciding which template best fits your needs, and you are still modifying that template based on your own sense of what looks right. If you lack design training, these decisions remain difficult and the results remain hit or miss. Microsoft Designer takes a genuinely different approach by using AI to understand what you are trying to create and then generating complete, coherent design solutions. When you describe your project, the AI does not just retrieve a relevant template. It actually generates designs tailored to your specific description, considering the content you need to include, the purpose of the design, and the audience you are trying to reach. The designs it generates are not random combinations. They represent coherent design thinking with elements sized and positioned according to principles of visual hierarchy, colors selected for harmony and appropriate mood, fonts chosen for readability and stylistic fit. Your role shifts from designer to creative director. Instead of making hundreds of small technical decisions about positioning, sizing, color values, and font weights, you evaluate complete solutions and select the direction that best matches your vision. This is a fundamentally more accessible task. Almost anyone can look at several design options and identify which one feels right. Far fewer people can create that right design from scratch. The second unique feature is the built-in library of stock images, icons, and templates. Let me explain why this matters more than it might initially seem. In my experience, one of the biggest time sinks in creating visual content is sourcing the visual elements you need. You have a concept for a design, but you need a photo that matches that concept. So you go to a stock photo website and start searching. 20 minutes later, you are still scrolling through pages of results, finding images that are close, but not quite right. When you finally find something acceptable, you might discover it requires a license fee, or the resolution is too low, or the style does not match other elements in your design. Microsoft Designer eliminates this friction by providing extensive visual resources directly within the tool. The stock image library covers virtually any subject you might need, with high-quality images that are immediately usable without additional licensing. The icon library includes thousands of icons in consistent styles, so you can find symbols to represent any concept while maintaining visual coherence. Templates for common design needs give you starting points that incorporate professional design thinking. All of these resources are searchable and accessible without leaving Designer, without managing separate accounts, without worrying about licensing terms. The third distinguishing feature is real-time collaboration with teams. Design work in professional contexts rarely happens in isolation. You create something, share it with stakeholders, receive feedback, make revisions, share again, and iterate until approval. Traditional workflows for this process are painful. You might email a design file, wait for responses, receive conflicting feedback from different people, struggle to track versions, and spend as much time managing the process as actually designing. Microsoft Designer enables multiple team members to work on design simultaneously, just as you might collaborate on a document in Word or a spreadsheet in Excel. Everyone sees changes in real time. Comments and suggestions attach directly to design elements. Version history is maintained automatically. The friction of collaboration dissolves, and you can focus on the actual creative work rather than the logistics of sharing files and consolidating feedback. The fourth unique characteristic is automated styling that maintains brand consistency. For any organization with a visual brand, consistency is crucial but difficult to maintain. Your brand guidelines might specify exact colors, approved fonts, logo usage rules, and stylistic preferences. When multiple people create content across different projects and time periods, maintaining consistency requires either constant vigilance or accepting that materials will drift away from brand standards. Designer can internalize your brand elements and apply them automatically. Your brand colors become the default palette. Your approved fonts become the standard choices. Your logo is positioned correctly without requiring everyone to remember the guidelines. This automation transforms brand consistency from an ongoing struggle into a default state that happens without effort. Key features of MS Designer. Let us examine the key features of Microsoft Designer with the depth they deserve, because understanding these capabilities in detail will transform how you think about creating visual content. Each feature addresses real challenges that real people face regularly, and together they create something more powerful than the sum of their parts. The first key feature is that Microsoft Designer is an AI-powered tool that simultaneously saves time and boosts creativity. I want to explore both halves of this equation because they interact in important ways that might not be immediately obvious. The time savings are dramatic and measurable. Consider a scenario that many professionals face regularly. You need to create a social media graphic announcing an upcoming event. With traditional approaches, this process might unfold over an hour or more. You start by opening design software and staring at a blank canvas, trying to envision what the final product should look like. You search for background images or graphics that fit your concept, evaluating dozens of options before selecting one. You experiment with text placement, adjusting position and size repeatedly until something feels balanced. You try different fonts, cycling through options hoping to find one that looks professional. You adjust colors, sometimes discovering that your choices clash or look unprofessional in ways you cannot quite articulate. You might scrap everything and start over when the result does not meet your hopes. Eventually, you produce something acceptable, though you suspect a professional designer could do better. With Microsoft Designer, the same task might take 10 minutes. You describe what you need. Social media post announcing our annual customer appreciation event on March 15th. Professional but warm and welcoming tone. Include our company colors of navy and gold. Designer generates several complete options, each representing a professional approach to your brief. You select the one that resonates most, make minor adjustments to fine-tune the wording, and export your finished graphic. The time savings are not 10 or 20%. They are 80 or 90%, transforming what was a significant time investment into a quick task. But here is where the creativity boost becomes important. When creating visual content takes an hour, you naturally limit yourself to one approach. You cannot afford to explore multiple directions when each exploration is expensive. With Designer, you can request several completely different interpretations of your concept in the time it would have taken to create one. You might discover that a direction you never would have conceived works better than your original vision. The AI suggests approaches informed by vast training data encompassing countless professional designs. It knows visual strategies you have never seen or considered. By presenting these options, it effectively expands your creative vocabulary and exposes you to possibilities beyond your individual experience. The second key feature is that Microsoft Designer is genuinely user-friendly and requires no professional design skills. I want to be specific about what this means because many tools claim to be user-friendly while still assuming knowledge that beginners do not have. Professional design software requires understanding layers, masks, vector paths, resolution, color modes, and dozens of other concepts before you can use it effectively. Even tools marketed as accessible often assume you know the difference between serif and sans serif fonts, understand why certain color combinations work and others do not, and can recognize when a layout is balanced versus when something feels off. These are skills designers develop over years of training and practice. Microsoft Designer assumes none of this knowledge. You describe what you want using the same words you would use to explain it to a friend. The AI interprets your description and handles all technical decisions. You evaluate results based on simple criteria anyone can apply. Does this look good? Does this communicate what I want to communicate? Does this feel right for my purpose? The interface guides you through any adjustments using clear, plain language options. There are no intimidating toolbars filled with mysterious icons. There is no jargon-filled documentation you need to study before getting started. This accessibility is not a limitation or a dumbed-down version of real design capability. The results you can achieve are genuinely professional because the AI brings professional-level design knowledge to every project. You get professional results through an accessible process. The third key feature is versatility across personal and professional projects. The same tool handles a birthday party invitation for your child, a quarterly business presentation for your executives, a social media campaign for your marketing team, and a fundraising flyer for your community organization. This versatility means you develop proficiency in one tool that serves you across every context where you need visual content. Personal projects gain access to professional quality. Your party invitations can look as polished as those from a professional event planner. Your holiday cards can compete with anything from a stationery store. Your social media posts about your hobbies can achieve the visual impact of professional influencers. The gap between professional and amateur visual content narrows dramatically. Professional projects gain speed and accessibility. Marketing teams can produce campaign materials without bottlenecking on limited designer availability. Sales teams can create compelling presentations without submitting design requests and waiting in queues. Every department that needs visual content gains self-sufficiency, reducing organizational friction and accelerating execution. The fourth key feature is seamless integration within the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. For the hundreds of millions of people whose work lives center on Microsoft applications, this integration provides value that standalone design tools cannot match. Designs flow directly into PowerPoint presentations without export and import steps. OneDrive assets are accessible within Designer without file management gymnastics. The Microsoft account you already have is all you need. The interface follows Microsoft conventions, reducing learning curve. Updates and new features arrive through the same channels as your other Microsoft tools. Hands-on practice. Now we arrive at the most important part of this entire section, actually learning to use Microsoft Designer through hands-on practice. I am going to walk you through the complete workflow step by step, not just telling you what buttons to click, but helping you understand how to approach each step strategically to get the best possible results. By the end of this section, you should feel confident enough to open Designer and create your own professional quality designs immediately. The first step in using Microsoft Designer is entering your idea or text description. This is arguably the most important step because the quality of your description directly influences the quality of designs the AI generates. Let me share detailed guidance on how to write descriptions that produce excellent results. Start by being explicit about what type of content you are creating. The AI needs to understand the format and context to generate appropriate designs. Instead of a vague request, like make me something for my business, specify create an Instagram post for my bakery business, or design a professional letterhead for my consulting firm, or make a Facebook event cover for our charity fundraiser. The more precisely you identify the type of content, the better the AI can optimize for that specific format and context. Include the key information that needs to appear in the design. If there is specific text like an event date, a promotional offer, or a call to action, include it in your description. For example, create an Instagram post announcing our summer sale, 30% off. All items June 1 to 15. Include the text summer savings as the headline. The AI can incorporate this information into the design structure rather than leaving you to add it manually and potentially disrupt the visual balance. Describe the tone, mood, or style you want to achieve. Visual design communicates emotion and personality, and you can guide this through your description. Words like professional, playful, elegant, bold, minimalist, warm, modern, or traditional help the AI select appropriate visual approaches. You might say, create a professional and trustworthy look for a financial services company versus create a fun and energetic look for a children's party venue. These descriptions lead to dramatically different design directions. Mention any specific requirements or constraints. If you need specific brand colors, say so. Use our brand colors of forest green and cream. If there are elements that must be included or avoided, specify them, include our logo in the corner, or do not include any images of people. If the design needs to match existing materials, describe that should feel consistent with our existing website, which uses clean lines and lots of white space. The second step is reviewing the AI-generated design suggestions. After you submit your description, Designer presents multiple design options, typically 4 to 6 different approaches to your brief. This step requires thoughtful evaluation rather than just grabbing the first option that looks acceptable. Look at each option with your communication goals in mind. Which design most clearly conveys the message you want to send? Which creates the emotional response you want viewers to have? Which would stand out appropriately in the context where it will appear? Sometimes, a design that initially seems less striking proves to be the best choice because it communicates more effectively. Consider how each design will work in practice. If it is a social media post, imagine it appearing in a crowded feed. Does it grab attention? Is the text readable at the size it will actually appear? If it is a presentation slide, imagine presenting it to your audience. Does it support your spoken content or compete with it? If it is print material, consider how it will look physically. Will important elements be too close to edges that might be trimmed? Do not feel limited to accepting any single option completely. You might notice that you prefer the color scheme of one design, the layout of another, and the typography of a third. The customization step allows you to combine elements and modify designs extensively. The third step is customizing fonts, colors, layouts, and graphics. This is where you transform AI-generated starting points into designs that precisely match your vision and needs. Typography customization gives you control over all text elements. You can change fonts to match your brand or personal preference. You can adjust sizes to create appropriate visual hierarchy, making headlines more prominent and supporting text more subdued. You can modify colors to ensure readability and stylistic consistency. You can adjust spacing and alignment to fine-tune the visual balance. Color customization lets you modify the palette throughout the design. You might adjust the primary color to match your brand exactly. You might change accent colors to create different moods or improve contrast. You can modify background colors, text colors, and the colors of graphic elements independently. Layout adjustments allow repositioning and resizing of elements. If you want the headline higher or lower, you can move it. If an image should be larger or smaller, you can resize it. If elements feel too cramped or too spread out, you can adjust spacing. The goal is a layout that feels balanced and directs attention appropriately. The fourth step is adding images, icons, or illustrations from the library. Designer provides extensive visual resources you can incorporate into your designs to enhance or modify what the AI generated. The stock image library contains high-quality photographs spanning virtually every subject imaginable. You can search by keyword to find images that match your concept. These images are licensed for use in your designs without additional fees or complicated terms. The icon library offers thousands of symbols representing every concept you might need to illustrate. Icons can clarify meaning, draw attention to important points, or add visual interest. The library includes multiple style options, so you can find icons that match the aesthetic of your design. You can also upload your own images, which is essential when you need to incorporate specific photos, product images, logos, or other custom visual elements that no stock library would contain. The fifth and final step is exporting or sharing your final design. Designer provides multiple pathways to get your finished work where it needs to go. Download options let you save designs in various formats optimized for different uses. You might download a high-resolution version for printing, a compressed version for web use, or specific formats required by social media platforms. Direct sharing to social platforms streamlines the process of posting content you created specifically for those channels. Integration with other Microsoft tools allows you to insert designs directly into PowerPoint, Word, or other applications without manual export and import steps. Collaboration sharing lets you send designs to team members for review, feedback, or further editing, maintaining the collaborative workflow we discussed earlier. The complete workflow from opening Designer to exporting a finished design can take anywhere from 5 minutes for simple projects to perhaps 30 minutes for complex designs requiring extensive customization. When you compare this to the hours that traditional design processes often demand, the transformative potential becomes clear. Tasks that once required either design expertise or significant time investment are now accessible to anyone willing to describe what they want to create.